Today is Friday, January 10th. We're talking about the extent of the loss in Southern California as catastrophic wildfires keep burning, and how a major winter storm across the South is causing travel nightmares. Also, we'll recap the emotional state funeral that brought together all 5 living presidents in a rare symbol of political unity. Plus, TikTok's fight for survival is coming before the U.S. Supreme Court today. A new merger creates a powerhouse of mall staples. And the NFL playoffs are about to begin. We'll tell you how they could make history. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Well, Los Angeles is now the site of widespread devastation and loss, with wildfires still burning out of control in and around America's second largest city. Authorities have confirmed at least 10 people have now died in the fires, and many more are hurt. Sadly, the death toll is expected to go up. Already, the 2 biggest wildfires have claimed at least 10,000 homes and other buildings like churches, schools, libraries, restaurants, banks, grocery stores, and more. They've also taken out local landmarks like the Will Rogers Western Ranch House and the Topanga Ranch Motel. And other smaller fires are still popping up. Overall, about 45 square miles have burned so far. That's roughly the size of San Francisco and double the size of Manhattan. Nearly 180,000 people were under mandatory evacuation orders yesterday. Hundreds of thousands more are under evacuation warnings. And red flag warnings are still in effect across parts of California through the day today. Analysts say, together, the wildfires are set to be the costliest in American history. Total economic losses are now pegged at close to $50 billion and growing. So California's insurance industry could take a huge hit. President Biden says the federal government will pay for debris removal, temporary shelters, salaries for first responders, and more for 6 months. And Biden is calling on Congress and President-elect Trump to keep that money flowing. The fires raging in Los Angeles have been fueling a political argument that's expected to keep going long after the fires are out. President-elect Trump says California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is to blame for the fires and should resign. One of the points Trump made specifically was that Newsom blocked efforts to pump more water from Northern California into the LA region. But Newsom's team says there's no, quote, imaginary spigot, and that a water shortage is not actually the problem. Instead, the governor's office says because of high demand, pump stations at lower elevations did not have enough pressure to refill the tanks at higher elevations. And making things harder, power was apparently cut to local water pumps to avoid utility lines sparking more fires. So now fire officials are bringing in generators. On this recent firestorm aside, Trump and Newsom are expected to keep feuding over California's water management. Right now, water use in the state breaks down like this: roughly 10% for communities, 40% for agriculture, and 50% for the environment. In the past, Trump pushed for more water for agriculture, saying California dedicated too much to the environment just to keep declining fish populations alive. And because of that fight, Trump has said he would withhold disaster aid unless Newsom goes his way on water. But at least for now, while Los Angeles is still burning, Newsom has responded to say he's focused on protecting people, not playing politics. So, to be continued. A federal court put an end to controversial new rule changes in American education. We're talking about changes to Title IX. The changes were meant to help protect LGBTQ students in schools, though critics say they actually take away protections meant for girls. Remember, Title IX's original purpose was to keep schools that get federal funding from discriminating against anyone because of their sex. But the Biden administration tried to change it so it wasn't just about discrimination based on sex, but also based on sexual orientation and gender identity as well, plus the unequal treatment of pregnant students. Well, a group of Republican-led states took issue with the fact that schools would be forced to let transgender students use restrooms and locker rooms of their choosing, and that faculty would have to use pronouns transgender students prefer. Flash forward to this week, and a federal judge agreed with those Republican states, and his ruling applies to the entire country. So far, the Biden administration has not commented, but the Trump administration was expected to unravel Biden's changes anyway. Former President Jimmy Carter, who throughout his career was known as a political outsider, was given the ultimate insider send-off. All 5 living presidents attended Carter's state funeral yesterday, along with many other political leaders, family, and friends. They reflected on Carter's lifetime of service and decades of humanitarian work after his time in the White House. President Biden delivered a eulogy that read in part, "Jimmy Carter lived a life measured not by words, but by his deeds." Carter's grandsons delivered personal family tributes. There was also a eulogy from former President Gerald Ford, even though it was Carter who beat Ford in the 1976 presidential race. Plus, eulogy from former Vice President Walter Mondale, who served under Carter. Both Mondale and Ford have died, so their sons delivered their father's words, reflecting on Carter's values and accomplishments. The event also brought some rare moments of bipartisanship among the more current political heavyweights. President-elect Trump even got a laugh out of former President Obama during their chat. Carter is now buried beside his wife at their family peanut farm in Plains, Georgia. A powerful winter storm is strengthening across parts of the country not used to winter weather. Up to a foot of snow, sleet, and freezing rain fell across Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas yesterday. And today, it's expanding over more of the southern plains and into the Mississippi Valley and southern Appalachians. Atlanta, Georgia hasn't had at least an inch of snow in nearly 7 years, but has a chance of that today. Same with Charlotte, North Carolina, that hasn't recorded measurable snow in nearly 2 years, but is now expected to break that drought. And those are just a couple of examples. The biggest concerns are the roads, since any amount of ice can be dangerous. Sloppy weather caused treacherous travel yesterday on major highways. Thousands of flights in and out of the U.S. were canceled, with Dallas area airports making up nearly half of them. Several states are now under a state of emergency. And school has been canceled today for millions of students, though this system is expected to be out of the U.S. by the end of the weekend. All right, we have more news for you still ahead, but first, thanks to our sponsor. For a lot of Americans right now, it is cold out. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I like to treat myself a little bit to get through some of those long winter nights. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to break the bank over it. So that's where Quince comes in. With Quince, you can treat yourself to everyday luxury at an affordable price. I just ordered an alpaca wool quarter zip sweater that I'm so excited about. It has this kind of winter outdoor chic feeling. And you know I love anything that I can both dress up or down. It gives me that little something to look forward to without having to feel guilty over the price. Since Quince partners directly with top factories and cuts out the cost of the middleman, they're able to pass those savings onto you. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, which I really appreciate. So treat yourself this winter without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Now back to the news. The U.S. Supreme Court is hearing arguments today in the case that will decide TikTok's future in America. The 9 justices are looking into a law Congress passed last year that forces TikTok's Chinese owners to sell the platform or get banned in the U.S. And even though American business leaders have put in their own bids to take over TikTok, the app is now saying if the Supreme Court decision doesn't go its way, it'll move forward with shutting down its American operations by the deadline of January 19th. The federal government argues the law is necessary because TikTok's Chinese owners have access to huge amounts of Americans' data and can potentially influence the kinds of content users see. TikTok, meanwhile, says the law limits both the free speech rights of the company and the 170 million Americans who use it. Both sides will get to present their cases to the High Court today. There's no timeline on when the court could reach a decision, though legal experts expect it to act quickly because, again, the ban is scheduled to kick in on January 19th. Millions of students and teachers across the country may have had their personal information stolen. The country's biggest cloud-based education software provider got hacked. The breach impacted PowerSchool, whose software stores information for school districts and creates personalized learning programs. Those responsible for the breach were able to download things like students and teachers' social security numbers, medical history, and grades. PowerSchool says the hackers demanded money to delete the data it stole. So PowerSchool paid up and says it believes the hackers kept their side of the deal. Still, PowerSchool informed clients of the hack this week and said the hackers got access through a customer service portal. The company is now offering credit monitoring services for adults and identity protection for minors who were impacted. Stores that were once icons of shopping malls around the country are joining forces in a merger. Penney will merge with Spark Group to create a new company called Catalyst Brands. Spark owns retail stores like Forever 21, Brooks Brothers, Eddie Bauer, and Aeropostale, among others. The new combined company will have an estimated $9 billion in revenue and 60,000 employees right out of the gate. Catalyst also has financial backing from some of the biggest mall operators and owners in America. Though stores that previously anchored malls have struggled for years. Penney filed for bankruptcy after the pandemic hit in 2020. The same year, Forever 21 emerged from bankruptcy. Now, Catalyst says it's exploring its strategic options to try to revive mall shopping. The road to the Super Bowl starts tomorrow. The NFL playoffs are starting with 3 straight days of first-round games. Right now, the Detroit Lions are the favorites to lift the Lombardi Trophy as Super Bowl winners, but they're not playing this weekend. They earned a week off as the top seed in the NFC. The defending champion Kansas City Chiefs also have a break for earning the best record in the AFC. Speaking of which, if the Chiefs win it all this time around, they'll become the first team to ever win 3 straight Super Bowls. Another fun fact, Baltimore Ravens coach John Harbaugh and Los Angeles Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh are the first siblings in the history of the NFL to make it to the playoffs in the same season. Now the month-long tournament begins, concluding with the 59th Super Bowl in New Orleans. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Feel Good Friday, when we bring you one extra feel-good or positive news story before the weekend. But first, a quick thanks to our sponsor. When I first started to partner with Honeylove, I was so excited because I already knew this was a high-quality brand. That's because our executive producer right here at The Newsworthy had already chosen Honeylove's shapewear for her wedding day, the day she wanted to look and feel her absolute best. And sure enough, I now love Honeylove's shapewear as much as she does. Honeylove shapewear uses targeted compression to enhance your curves and offer that just right amount of support, not squeeze you. Soon, I was loving so many of Honeylove's other wardrobe essentials as well. I wear their Legging 2.0 pretty much every day at this point. And yes, I use their shapewear for special events. Everything they make has high-quality fabrics, great design, and the type of functional features that let you know that even the founder actually wears each product. So join us and treat yourself to the best bras, shapewear, and leggings on the market. Save 20% off Honeylove at honeylove.com/newsworthy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/newsworthy, to find your perfect fit. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you've heard about them, so please support our show and let them know we sent you. Elevate your comfort, elevate your style with Honeylove. Now back to Feel Good Friday. A 9-year-old boy is determined to help people stay warm this winter, even if they don't have homes. In fact, he started a nonprofit dedicated to that goal. Malik Ford lives in Indianapolis, Indiana. And a couple of years ago, the elementary school student realized homeless people around the city did not all have ways to bundle up in the cold. So he decided not to wait to grow up to make a difference. Along with his family, Malik gathered blankets, sleeping bags, food, and other items to distribute to his city's homeless population. And now it's an annual event. Malik's godfather says every time the boy hands someone a blanket, his smile gets bigger. And Malik even started a foundation to support it called Malik's Blankets for the homeless. But it all depends on donations. So we have a link to the site where you can contribute to the cause in today's episode notes. Well, thanks so much for listening. We will be back tomorrow with a nonpartisan preview of the second Trump administration and hear how things may be different from the first time around. Join us for our special edition Saturday episode tomorrow, and then again on Monday for another daily news roundup to get you all caught up. For now, thanks again for listening, and have a great weekend.